So this file looks like it's a good start. It has a couple of the attributes. You can tell that the properties are really well done, right? So in here, all of these make sense and are done well. You also were able to link the style sheet together, which is actually one of the hardest parts. It's not linked exactly correctly, but you did do most of it correctly. And you were able to put some divs in there. Now, you're missing a couple steps, which is why it's not actually looking the way that you want it to look. The first step you're missing is to connect your style sheet. You have to get this correct and this correct. But over here, you can see that your rel is not typed in correctly. It should be style no dash sheet. Okay, so that will allow your link to actually work. So again, in that rel equals quotes style sheet, there should be no dash in the middle, and then that will actually start to work. Also, once we have our styles over in our style sheet, we can get rid of them from our HTML document. So I'm going to get rid of these styles from here and just delete them, because you don't need them, because you can actually go to your CSS, which has these styles. Now in your CSS, you did the properties correctly. All of this is written correctly. The problem that you have is that you're not actually selecting anything. So you need to put in a selector. So I need to decide what I want to have this color and this font. Right now I'm going to try to just do an H1, which means essentially that I did H1 and I put a curly brackets in front of it and a curly brackets at the end. So you need the H1 and the curly brackets to tell it what to do these particular rules to. So for example, now all my H1s will have this font family, this background color, this color of text, this text decoration. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if it worked. Okay, good. So there you have it. It's the correct color, it's the correct background color, it's the correct typeface. So then, if you want to make another one, you just come down here and you say, okay, after that closing curly bracket, you can say something like H2 and put another curly brackets, opening and closing in there. And then you can change something with that. You can change the color. Let's see, pound. Let's make it bright red so it makes sure that you can see it. Okay, so if I preview it now my H2s are bright red. So essentially in your style sheet, what you're doing is you're writing, see if I can get rid of that. Cool. Okay, well, we'll just ignore that. You're writing essentially a selector and then the curly brackets, and anything you put in between these curly brackets applies to the code in your HTML. So it applies to all of the H1s over here in your HTML. So then, what I can see, let me try opening this guy again, just so that thing is gone. It's still there. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore it. So we also have this div ID sidebar, which you did a great job of typing in div ID equals sidebar. You also did a good job of typing in div ID equals 3D Groove. You cannot have a space though when you're naming a div. So now the thing that you didn't do is you didn't actually close up one of these divs. You closed up the 3D Groove. So if you look here and then you look all the way down here, you actually closed up the one div, but you didn't close up the sidebar divs. So if I look here, here's a sidebar div. It's open, but it's not closed. So you need to make sure you close and open every one of the divs. And divs are essentially like giant boxes on your page. Now you can do cool things to those divs. So if you go over here to front.css, you can do a couple things. You can select those boxes. Now to select those boxes, you don't just type it in like you typed in H1. You actually type in pound sidebar, right? And then you can put in good things like a background color. Right, you can put in a background color, and you can even put in a width. You can put in a couple other things. So you should go back and watch those videos on, especially the second half, on what kinds of things in terms of positioning you can do to these divs. So again, when you're selecting a div, by the ID, you always put a hashtag in front or the number sign in front, and then the name of the div, and then again those curly brackets, opening and closing curly brackets, and then in between is are the properties that you want it to look like. So now you'll see in your page, now we have a sidebar here, and you can see it has the right background color and it has the right width. Okay, so you need to do a little bit more work. You can resubmit this if you would like for a higher grade. But make sure you just do the extra work. If you have questions, let me know. I respond to emails usually Monday through Thursday, sometimes on Fridays, but definitely not over the weekend. So I will respond to you on Monday. If you have any questions, let me know.